How does your product use or challenge conventions? My final task is an action film. The genre of action usually contains violence, romance, weaponry, defined character roles, dominant gender representation, fast-paced editing, and a fairly predictable chain of events. Many of Hollywood's most beloved productions are action films. For example, Deadpool, James Bond, Mission Impossible, The Avengers, Ocean 8, and John Wick. Action movies are typically high-budget productions due to the cost of mimicking action scenes realistically, along with the high-tech nature of these scenes. However, as a result of these high costs associated with filming, there are also high profits. Avengers Endgame was one of the highest-grossing action films in history, with $890 million in profit. But the budget of this major picture Hollywood production was a whopping $856 million US. It is in the nature of action films for there to be conflict, and to accomplish this, there are several key roles in every action film that have to be portrayed. That is, the hero and the villain. There are other roles commonly seen in the action trope, like the best friend of the hero, the romantic interest, and the wise teacher who gives important advice. It is also in the nature of action films for the hero to win in order to fulfill the desires of the audience. My final task follows many of the important features of action movies, but also defies a few as well. The lighting of my project, similar to many action films, contains a lot of high-key lighting. The bright colors help portray a sense of honesty and righteousness when introducing the heroic character. I also included close-up shots to help establish the hero's features, and include dialogue and audio to reveal the personality of each character. Non-diegetic sound is also important in live-action films, and to assist with the mood of the film, I included a non-lyrical, fast-paced, edgy song as background music. Like all action movies, my final task contains the key roles that have to be assigned, a hero and a villain. However, they do not match stereotypical roles. For starters, my hero is less of a do-gooder and more of a morally gray enforcer who works purely for profit, but doesn't violate any extreme moral standards. This anti-hero role isn't new to the action world. However, for a main character and a female one, it isn't very popular. My villain is also somewhat unsuspecting and is not shared in my final project, but is a part of the storyline. The villain doesn't match the perceived appearance or personality of most villains depicted in action films. This is because the villain of my protagonist's story is a child. This child is the main character's pupil, and is a child prodigy and genius with deep ties to the criminal underworld, in which she uses to harm her enemies. If I were to finish this project, I would most likely kill off the villain. This extremity is not typically found in action films, especially with a villain of this nature. For example, Batman would never kill Joker no matter how many people he hurt. My storyline would not follow this convention.